Exactly.
But yeah. So listen, I'm so happy to have you in the call room because now we can just kick in and talk about a couple of things, pick your brain because we never really kicked it about just stuff like men stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because the collab is geared towards females. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to merge the male and female minds together. But now we can talk about NBA. We can talk about NFL. We can kick it and talk about some boxing. Are you a fan of any of those?
Yeah. Definitely a fan of boxing, the MMA. I'm definitely more of a combat sports fan. But I got NBA and NFL. It's just there. I don't know a lot of households with men in it that don't know anything about NBA and NFL. Maybe MLB is kind of like right. FIFA, depending on if you're part of the Caribbean or something like that.
Yeah.
But NBA, NFL, you know. So
I've heard somebody say, I watch a lot of sports shows, but I think Stephen A was saying how the Major League Baseball, they don't invest a lot into the black community. Meaning they don't come out there and groom black people to play
new fresh talent coming in to see that having like a feature in that league or something like that. I feel you.
Yeah, like they don't do that. I mean, I know Walt, you play baseball?
I didn't. Now, like my father did, like in like junior high. He played pitcher, but besides that, like my honest opinion, as far as like baseball, I honestly feel like it's not that big in the black community. It used to be bigger in the black community. There were more black players back in the day, but as you look at it now, I feel like money is one of the main things because baseball is not a cheap sport. Bats, gloves, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot more expensive and harder to play than basketball when you just need a ball and two hoops and some concrete versus you need bases, you need organization, you need time, all that to play baseball. And I also think it's like a father-son kind of thing. And we all know that with our community, we have a bit of a struggle with that. So I do feel like there's a connection that gets missed when it comes to that transition to the new generation.
I'm gonna tell you, that might sound good, brother. That might
yes,
sound
it does.
Good.
he sounds
that
official.
Might sound good. But I'm gonna tell y'all what I think went wrong. What happened with baseball?
What's up?
I feel like y'all listen. This might not be something that everybody agrees with, but I think integration went wrong with baseball and black people.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you said that. Now I don't gotta say it. I was about to say that. We might be related. We actually might be related.
Hey, question.
Oh,
when's it gonna stop? When's it gonna stop, Clint? When's it gonna stop?
Listen, I feel like if we would have stuck with the Negro League baseball,
yes,
I think that Negro League, I can see Negro Leagues in the community teaching kids baseball. And us recruiting more black people to play the sport. And it will be more money in the black community.
Now, I got a question with that. I agree with you, but with the Negro Leagues going away, whose fault is that? Is it the powers that be, or is it ours?
It's ours.
100% ours.
So I got a question.
What's up?
So this for everybody. So if we don't do the integration with the Negro League and the major leagues, like as far like Jackie Robinson, do y'all feel like that was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do?
I think it was the wrong thing to do.
I don't
personally.
The only reason why I don't agree with that is because I do feel like, I mean, obviously the majors was paying more money because they had more money, but that's just a black-white thing. That isn't a better or a worse thing. I do feel like a lot of the better black baseball players, most of them didn't come over until later on, until after their primes, like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson. Yeah. Like they didn't get a chance to transfer over until like their later years and get a little bit of that money. But I do feel like us playing with them and actually still being the best, like Jackie Robinson was, like Hank Aaron was, like Willie Mays was, and these were all in New York, Brooklyn. This is Brooklyn, New York. This is the high mecca of baseball. So when you think of like these black athletes being the best, this is before basketball and football was that big. So you're the most recognized athletes in the world, and they black, and they're recognized as the best. I feel like that's weight. Because when you're playing against the white people, the first thing that white people were saying when Jackie Robinson was playing was like, oh, he can't play with no white boys. Like, he's not good enough. He's not organized enough. And he coming in there, and he's not even regarded as the best ever, and he's better than everyone, and they win a championship when he first gets to Brooklyn. So I feel like there's weight behind that.
I agree with you on that.
Well, listen, I got something to say to that, but King, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, King.
You probably gonna say the same thing I'm saying, but no. Okay, so yes and no. The purpose is a yes, right? And you are absolutely right. The opportunity for our players to play with them and have our proving ground is a must. That needs to happen. But the thing that we missed was that we did it on their terms, on their organization, and in their league, so they get all the money. And so what we did was we sacrificed our legacy, our businesses. That's why black people aren't getting money in baseball. That's why we're not getting recognized in baseball, because that was the industry that we sold our few players to be a part of this big white industry. That's what killed us. We still could have had integration, but it didn't have to be that I had to trade my star black player to be playing in your league. We could have had the integration leagues. Sports do that all the time. UFC and boxing, you've seen that numerous times already. I mean, we'll get to that later because I feel some type of way about that. But
boxing is very racist. It is, but I feel
but what I'm saying is, and this is Tina, where you coming from. We sacrificed the power that we had by having our own league. They wanted to take our players. They just didn't want to think that we were as good as they were. But guess what? They found out that we were as good as we were in our own league.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, they came to our shows. They came to our leagues. They came to our clubs and started snatching us up. We didn't just appear in their field and say, hey, let me hit a couple of balls. And they was like, I guess we could let the black boy hit a ball. Nah, we was already discovered. Exactly. All our players were already discovered. It was just in our community. And instead of saying, nah, we're going to keep this in our community. If you want a piece of this, and you got to come get a piece of this. We was like, well, yeah, you can take them. And now we gave away all our star players. No one wants to come to the Negro League anymore. So
we should have got organized with our power with that. We should have been organized with our power. If we got organized, if we organized and found out, realized what we had, and still did business with them, but kept our own. Yeah, I think we gave up too much power on that.
Yep. I'm going to tell you right now, any sport, really any company that we have already had our own, that we decided to say, let's go ahead and give this person away, and we no longer have that company or sport, that's exactly why. We gave our gyms away so we can have representation in their league instead of having them come to our league, or even collabing together with our two companies to represent. Like the Olympics, every country comes from their country, represent their country. We could have did something like that, but instead we said, let's just give him one of their jerseys, and then you got to read his bio to know where he came from.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's now. I'm sorry, Trem. You got something?
No, I'm good, man. I added my 2 cents in. I'm good.
So I'm gonna say this though. See, working with Trem and building Kings of the Republic I've learned a lot about business. But one of the jewels about building your own from scratch, and I learned that from working with Trem, and I also learned it from watching Nipsey grind, Nipsey Hussle grind from mixtapes to getting his deal with Atlantic, right? The one thing I learned is partnership. Partnership is that's king, because no pun intended. Because all right, so I'm gonna put it in the way so the young people can understand. So when Nipsey was, I think, about 7 years into his career before he even signed a deal. And the reason why he was 7 years into his career is because he understood that he had to bring a worth. He had to bring some type of worth, some type of a resume to them to be like, okay, this is what I want. And if you don't want, if you're not going to give that to me, then I'm going to go somewhere else, or I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing, because guess what? I'm making a lot of money over here. So he already built the network to the point where everybody wanted him. He went to Atlantic, and he structured a great deal for himself. Same thing the Negro League could have did. Negro League could have said, you know what? Listen, over here, we got a lot going on. We making a lot of money. We got a lot of fans coming to the games. Let's partner with something. Let's do some games with each other. So that way, we can get known through you, right? Play a few games, which I think that's what they were doing. At some point, I think they was playing games with them. But I would have continued on doing that. Yeah. Look at this, dog. But in the 1940s, the Negro League was bringing in $2 million. In the 1940s,
that's a lot. That's a lot for that. But during that time, that's a lot. That says a lot.
$2 million, right?
But so it's like, I feel like us not knowing what you have, and the struggles and upbringings that we've had in this country as being a people, it crippled a lot of our potential of who we knew of ourselves. Like I feel like today we're getting a little bit of that back with just access to knowledge. Not right now, but a lot of that stuff has just been stripped away from us, man. We didn't understand or know why what we had.
I mean, they pulled the biggest trick in the book. Yeah. You take the harder way of the game. You take the best player, and then you bring them over to our side. Mm-hmm. And then the other people that follow that great player is going to follow him, which the other people did. Satchel Paige was the oldest rookie ever, right? At this point, I think he is. He was like 40 something when he got to them. So when you take Satchel Paige out the league, it's over. It's over. Satchel Paige was that guy. And I know they had other players, but Satchel Paige, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So you talk, and then you got Jackie Robinson. There was a couple other people that came. So to my point, to what I'm trying to say is that if we would have kept that money, no matter, even if it was even if it wasn't $2 million, it's still ours.
Something that we could say that we could put our name and stamp on.
Right, it's ours. That's the thing. Like so now here we are. We got the Major League Baseball. Yes, Jackie Robinson. Yes, he did go to he integrated baseball, but they didn't give nothing back to the community. No. They didn't invest no time to where people really like the game, or really, because I'm sure we could play anything. Because I got a question for y'all, and maybe it's just a statement, really,
What's
right?
Up?
So Russell Wilson got drafted by a major baseball team, correct, Walt? Right? Now he could have made a lot of money, because Major Baseball, they get out of this world money,
right? They
right?
don't have a cap. They don't have a salary.
They don't got a salary cap, right? What's his name? Kansas City. Quarterback.
I know you're talking about.
Well, Kansas City quarterback. I can't think of his name right now.
For the Chiefs?
Yeah, Chiefs.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes. Yeah, it definitely got me. I'm like, damn, what is this man name?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Didn't he get drafted by a baseball team too?
I think he used to play baseball. I don't know.
At one time.
I think he was drafted too, but here's my point. Why didn't Russell Wilson go to play baseball?
That's a good question.
Why he decided to play football that has a salary cap?
Maybe he didn't. I mean, just because the sport itself doesn't have a salary cap, don't mean you're going to get that salary, though. Maybe he just saw more potential in himself as, not a baseball player.
Do you feel like, as a black player, you feel like he wouldn't have got the recognition in baseball, or do you just?
I feel like, I don't know. Honestly, maybe that could be true. But if you're, he had to be that good to get drafted.
Yes,
he had to be that good. Yeah. But he chose football. You gotta think about, like, if you're thinking about if you got a choice, I'm like, well, dang, more money is over here.
So the thing with drafting, though, that I think people kind of miss when it comes to that is when you get drafted, really when you get it, when somebody scouts you out for anything, right? But when you get drafted and you say yes, you also are accepting that expectation of yourself. That's what I mean. When I was like, maybe he saw he had a better chance in NFL than MLB because, and this also goes back to your question, actually Walt's question about if he was black, where he would have gotten the recognition he deserved. With any sport, especially one like baseball, where it is predominantly white and Dominican for some reason. Yes and no. We have to be the stars to get our recognition. We can't be the average Joe,
mediocre,
right? And get their average Joe money. They're not gonna pay us. They already don't want to pay us as much as they pay themselves.
Right.
So if we are in the shadows like all of them, then it's easier for them to not pay us. We have to be superstars to get the recognition we deserve as black players. So if he would have went up there and destroyed it, yeah, he would have got his recognition. But if he would have just did good enough to be on the team and to be he would have.
I got you.
To the NFL.
And could he have just been that where he was just more talented as a football player than he was a baseball player?
That's what I was getting.
He just outshined more as an NFL player.
Could be.
I think that's it. I think he might just like football more. Like to
that too.
On it, like he might just like football more. Like to go back on the other thing. There's like one black baseball player that's like. That isn't considered, Dominican Republic or something like that, who people actually consider amongst the best. That's Mookie Betts. He plays for the Dodgers. If anybody, or Mookie Betts, who plays for the Dodgers. If any of y'all who don't know, he is one of the best players in the league. He's one of the league leaders. He's an MVP candidate for the past 3-4 years. Like, he is top notch too, but he's like the only brother. Like, that's it. Like. Now there's a couple other, other brothers that's up there, and some of them are like, Latino, and I still claim them. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I claim. I know
they brown brothers too.
They brown. I was like, he good,
right?
So,
right.
But compared to like back in the day, especially like the '90s, like when we had like cats like Ken Griffey Jr. I know a lot of y'all know who. The big Nike contract.
Oh, those things hard.
Hard. What? The fire sneakers, the video games.
The video games definitely. I had King Jr. Baseball. I had
exactly. That. I just feel like ever since that, like we've kind of like black folk in baseball just kind of been kind of.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That always bothered me. But I've been meaning to have this conversation for a long time. So man, that was good, man.